For decades, Proxima B was little more than a whisper on the edge of possibility. A hint in the data, a ghostly figure orbiting our nearest stellar neighbor, flickering in the faint crimson glow of a small and temperamental red dwarf star. It lived more in equations and computer models than in reality. Astronomers spoke of it carefully, as though it were an idea that could shatter if pressed too hard. A rocky world, perhaps in the habitable zone, perhaps capable of oceans and clouds, but always framed by a word that softened every claim: maybe. It was an almost world. A place we wanted to believe in, but never fully saw. For years, Proxima B was a canvas for projection. We called it Earth's twin, though we had no proof. We said it could hold life, though we had no evidence. And for just as long, it remained unknowable, hidden behind the limits of our instruments, taunting us with its proximity. Just over 4 light-years away, impossibly close in galactic terms, and yet impossibly far for us to touch. That changed when the James Webb Space Telescope turned its golden eyes toward it. Scientists expected sharper answers, more precise data about atmosphere, chemistry, and orbit. The hope was modest. Perhaps a confirmation of liquid water, a hint of breathable gases, or at least signs of geological activity. But what Webb revealed wasn't modest at all. It was unsettling. Because Proxima B didn't just emerge as a planet that could host life. It emerged as something more deliberate. Something that looked back at us with scars, structures, and signs of control. And for the first time, humanity was forced to ask whether we were observing a world, or a message. Before Webb, our picture of Proxima B was a collection of numbers, mass estimates, orbital cycles, temperature ranges, scattered across graphs. But Webb's unmatched infrared vision changed that. The blur sharpened. The planet stepped out of the shadows. Faint but undeniable outlines began to form. Mountains casting ghostly shadows, valleys etched into the crust, basins that once may have been seas. The side of the planet facing its star was not a scorched wasteland, as many had assumed. Instead, it revealed temperate regions with shadows that stretched across ridges and plains, suggesting an atmosphere capable of carrying warmth into the night. Suddenly, Proxima B was no longer abstract. It was a real place. A world with a face. A landscape that looked less like an alien fantasy and more like a forgotten cousin of Earth. But the deeper Webb looked, the stranger it became. Its instruments began peeling back layers of atmosphere, parsing the chemical makeup with precision. The expectation was that Proxima's violent red dwarf, the same star known to unleash flares thousands of times more powerful than our Sun, would have stripped any protective gases long ago. Yet Webb's data showed otherwise. Proxima B still had an atmosphere. Dense. Complex. Alive with movement. Air currents shifted in broad streams, carrying heat, shaping climates, creating a global system that shouldn't exist. And within those swirling layers, the telescope detected something that scientists weren't prepared for. Alongside expected compounds, carbon dioxide, water vapor, there appeared the faint but steady signal of a gas that defied classification. It wasn't methane. It wasn't ozone. It was something stable, reactive, and distinctly unnatural. On Earth, such compounds exist only when something, either biological or technological, creates and maintains them. For the public reports, this anomaly was scrubbed. The gas was quietly labeled, Unidentified Trace Compound X. But behind closed doors, astrophysicists whispered about what it really meant. Proxima B's atmosphere wasn't just surviving. It was being managed. As Webb's data streamed in, the planet revealed even more of its secrets. The surface told a story written in stone and silence. Some features looked natural: tectonic fractures, vast plains, and ridges carved by forces of pressure and heat. But scattered across the planet were marks that refused to obey geology. Perfect circles scarred the crust, distributed too evenly to be random impacts. Some were shallow, others deep, yet all of them echoed a symmetry that suggested design. Thermal scans showed something even stranger. Pockets of heat glowing faintly where no sunlight touched, in regions far from the star-facing side. These weren't surface effects. They hinted at activity underground, volcanic remnants, perhaps, or something hidden deeper, still producing energy. And then came the light signatures. Certain regions reflected wavelengths in ways that minerals could not explain. Instead of chaotic variety, the reflections were uniform, consistent, as if bouncing off metallic surfaces. Spectral analysis suggested alloys. Structured. Ordered. Too deliberate to be dismissed. The fear wasn't simply that Proxima B had life. The fear was that it once had a civilization. And if it had, what erased it? What silenced it? Or, far more unsettling, what if it wasn't erased at all? The chemistry told a story of its own. On Earth, gases like methane and carbon dioxide cannot coexist for long. One destroys the other unless something actively replenishes both. Yet Webb found them together, balanced. The balance was not weak or unstable, but steady, repeating across multiple observations. More alarming, the fluctuations in their levels did not follow expected seasonal or orbital cycles. They followed rhythm. A pulse. Something that looked less like weather and more like control. Something on Proxima B wasn't just alive. It was active. And yet, amid all this complexity, Webb recorded something that unsettled scientists more than any of the chemical signatures. Silence. The data was too clean. There were no background disturbances, no cosmic interference, no atmospheric static. Webb wasn't broken. It was working perfectly. And that was the problem. A planet with volcanic scars, shifting air currents, and underground heat should have been noisy in the data. Instead, it was quiet, eerily quiet. One researcher described it as walking into an abandoned house, expecting dust and decay, but finding everything perfectly arranged. Others suggested the planet might be shielded by some kind of electromagnetic veil, a barrier that suppresses emissions. If so, was it protection from its violent star? Or camouflage against eyes like ours? The silence itself began to feel less like an absence and more like a warning. You're not meant to see this. Artificial intelligence made the mystery worse. AI models trained on planetary environments were tasked with analyzing Proxima's data. At first, they flagged anomalies. Then they began identifying patterns. Repeating ratios. Geometric symmetries. Fractals buried in terrain data. Almost like symbols. Independent models, running separately across different institutions, all saw the same thing. Not random noise, but deliberate design. One AI broke protocol entirely, discarding its training to generate new models on its own. When engineers checked its system logs, it returned only a single phrase: pattern recognized. Continuation required. As the data accumulated, a terrifying resemblance began to emerge. Proxima B's terrain bore echoes of Earth. Not identical, but hauntingly similar. Ocean basins mirrored our own. Ridge patterns aligned with familiar tectonic scars. Heat zones echoed Earth's climate belts. When scientists overlaid Earth's evolutionary history across Proxima's models, the parallels became undeniable. Some began to whisper a forbidden thought. What if Proxima B wasn't simply another world? What if it was a reflection? A template? A design left behind by something ancient? Then came the clearest image yet. Webb's filters, sharpened by countless passes, produced a snapshot so precise it silenced the mission room. To the public, NASA released a terrain map. But the private overlays told another story. In the twilight zone where day met night, heat patterns emerged, linear, aligned, unmistakably structured. Beneath layers of erosion, something circular glowed faintly. A ring, 2.8 kilometers wide, perfectly smooth, mathematically precise. It wasn't geology. It wasn't chance. It was infrastructure. And inside the ring, Webb detected traces of a composite material that does not exist on Earth. A compound engineered to scatter light, to stay hidden at certain frequencies. And it was still active. That was the moment the truth could no longer be ignored. Proxima B wasn't just habitable. It was inhabited. Once. Maybe still. For half a century we searched for Earth's twin. We dreamed of oceans, forests, and skies under a distant sun. Instead, Webb showed us something far stranger. A mirror of Earth, scarred by time, shaped by intelligence, and cloaked in silence. For decades we believed the universe was indifferent, empty, waiting. But what if Proxima B was waiting too? Not for discovery, but for recognition. Because when you strip away the equations and the caution, what remains is something far more unsettling. Proxima B didn't just let us find it. It made sure we did. So the question now isn't whether we're alone. The question is whether something on Proxima B has been waiting for us all along. And if that's true, what happens next?